The implementation of curly with let macro is in let-macro.racket. It starts the same as s-expression.racket. It's got lists and symbols to represent s-expressions. The parse function, though, is changed to the parse star that takes an environment. We've actually thrown out the let case here, where there's no built-in let sugar. Instead, we have built-in let macro. So this let macro is the one from the slides, and also the application case of parsing changed to this more complicated one that potentially applies a macro or otherwise falls back to application. And then there's no changes to interp. We have some new test cases at the end. For example, here is that delay example from the slides. So when we run this, we bind delay as a macro, force as a macro. This expression gets expanded, and it gets expanded to lambda dummy return 7 applied to the dummy argument 0. And then when we interp that, then we just get a 7 out. If we want to run the example that we had in s-expression, where we were using let with makerec and so on, now we need let, and let is not built in anymore. So we could put a let macro let at the top of this, but instead we have a helper function called addlet, and addlet takes an s-expression and drops it inside of a let macro. So this lets us write lots of tests where the various tests use the let form, but still not have let form built into parse. Instead, we just wrap various tests like this one that want to use let with the add let wrapper.